Welcome into the Toyota Lounge for the DNVR Avalanche podcast, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. The Avs continue to do good work in free agency. We'll also get into their development camp roster, but first we got to get through some of the news of today and really the end of yesterday. The Avs have decided the team that they're going to mine for people this season is the Ottawa Senators.
It's a weird way to put that. The team they're going to mine for people?
Yep.
You know, last offseason it was Dallas's
Yeah,
AHL team,
exactly.
and now they've moved on to an unlikely suspect.
As far as NHL is concerned, there's two guys we'll definitely talk about. A couple of other things I want to talk about too. But the Avs signed two guys off of Ottawa. Yesterday they had Parker Kelly on the forward side, and today they had Erik Brannstrom on the defensive side in free agency. Kelly, an unQO'd RFA that the Avs add for a fourth-line defensive forward. And then Brannstrom we've talked about before, but obviously a great fit in Colorado.
Yeah, so with Kelly, it's just you're getting a crash and bang guy. Mm-hmm. You know, he's just going to go to the net, and he's going to hit people. He's going to play along the wall. You know, that's really all there is to his game.
I mean, the big thing for me is he's a PK guy.
Yeah, he can play on the PK. He's a heart and soul guy, but I mean, we'll see where he fits in that PK picture. They kind of have to rebuild that unit this next year.
LOC and a bunch of dudes. Is that PK right now?
Yeah, it's LOC, and at some point, whenever he gets healthy, Arturi Lehkonen, and then who exactly?
Do you want Parker Kelly on it? Is Miles Wood on it? Do you want to play a Kiviranta on it?
Do you want to try Ross Colton?
You need center,
do you go and
or
get
at least face-off guys?
Do you go and get a fourth-line center for that job? So, you know, Kelly is at least going to get into that mix of somebody that can play on special teams for you. We've talked about it a lot. If you're a fourth-line guy, really a bottom six guy, and you don't play on special teams, it's hard to keep your job for very long. Mm-hmm. This is just a great contract, because if it doesn't work, it's variable, not a big deal.
Yep.
It doesn't. You're never going to look at it and be like, "Oh my God, what do we do with this?" It should never be an albatross of a deal.
Yep.
And at 2 years, if it goes really well, you're off to a good start for next year's roster as well.
True.
So it's a heart and soul guy. Plays a lot like Brandon Duhaime. Weirdly, has been a pretty good goal scorer in really limited time, but
I mean, he's just not going to give you that much offense.
Yeah, but you're not getting him and saying, "Oh, let's watch this guy put up 15 goals this year," or anything like that. You would love 10. We're going for 10.
He logged pretty big PK minutes for Ottawa the last 2 seasons, and just looking at someone like Miles Wood coming from New Jersey and not really being utilized in that role, it feels like a natural fit for him to get optioned there. Now, that's not to edge out Miles Wood, who put in work on the Avs PK last year, and I think by the end of it showed promise as a player that could be used there, but it was a little touch and go at first. So I think that just adds to Kelly's value, and in seeing that the Avs couldn't have afforded to keep Duhaime in the role that was available to him, this is an affordable option that gives them option past this year.
That's the other thing, too. It was a 2-year deal at $825K, so easy kind of bottom of your lineup type guy that you have locked up one of those spots if you want to with him for the next 2 years. There's just no risk here, right?
No.
Why not add a defensive guy to your lineup if you can?
It's the same as bringing back Kiviranta.
Yep.
They're going to vie for the same job. One of the wing spots on your fourth line. Going to have to penalty kill. Going to have to hit and play hard. Going to have to chip in just enough offense.
One of them may well end up being your 13th forward.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It depends on some other
Yeah.
guys, but
We'll see, how it all shakes out because there's not a lot of room left there. But they are definitely, that fourth line right now is a prime spot for a lot of roster competition.
yep.
And that's kind of true of the conversation when we switch it over to the D-core that's been created. And
It is.
it really clicked just a second ago how much competition exists at the forward position for the bottom of the lineup, too. It's obvious with the D-core, but in looking at Jolkivi Ranta, Jere Anala,
Yep.
and some of the other internal
Kovalenko,
options that
too,
existed before these new additions, like
Yep.
Kovalenko, Foodie's still there, Oscar Olauson's still there. Andre Pavel and Jason Pullen are going to be vying for opportunity too.
True.
It has created a lot of competition, and I can really appreciate what that will do in camp.
Yep.
Andre Pavel just feels like a guy the Avs want to love.
They want to.
Jared
like,
Bednar wants
please.
to love him so bad.
Please, Andre Pavel, play. give us the level of play so that we can love you properly.
So let's transition to Erik Brannstrom then on the defensive side. $900K for 1 year. Look, man, as far as things he does as a defenseman, he's a perfect fit for Colorado. Can skate great, is good at moving pucks. Is going to be a little bit on the smaller side, but that doesn't mean he's ineffective defensively.
He's real small.
He's small. I'm not denying it.
He's a small guy and plays a small game.
For sure.
And that's going to be part of the challenge when you put him on this in this roster with Sam Girard, with the top pairing that isn't known for its physicality. How Brannstrom fits in with the rest of it is a wonderful fit, but the lack of physicality is definitely on a third pairing is definitely you're looking at it saying, I don't love it. But the price is obviously great. His ability to transition is elite. He's an exceptional transition player.
Yep.
Almost all of his offense comes off of the rush. He does not generate anything on the cycle. He's not a shooting
Shot's
threat
just not good enough
at all.
yeah.
Yeah, you think Sam Girard has a bad shot? Just wait. Erik Brannstrom, you are going to be frustrated by. He's a world-class skater who just needs. He actually did a pretty decent job in Ottawa last year of generating chances with his playmaking ability. They just didn't go in.
Yep.
He's kind of an interesting profile of he could play left and right side, which very much helps the Avalanche.
So can DeHaan, for that matter.
Yeah. That is at this point though, you definitely want him on the left, but you have options.
Yep.
Back in the day, DeHaan was really good on the right side for the Islanders, but that was a long time ago. But with Brannstrom, it's all transition, rush, everything that you see out of Sam Girard. Brannstrom's kind of the same guy. His shot suppression is excellent. It's excellent. On a team that was underwater in expected goals for last year, he was at 51%. It's not like world beating, but when you're talking about a guy that is succeeding where the rest of his team is not,
10% better than league average on preventing shooting.
yeah, exactly. And a little bit above average as a play driver as well.
Yep.
Really does all the things that you want to see out of him, but in a limited role. It's not a guy that you want to put in the top four right away, certainly. If there's an injury or something, sure. He could do a really good Sam Girard impression.
At his best, yeah.
Yeah. Also, his time in Ottawa was a fiasco. They could
Ottawa
never,
is in fact Ottawa.
They could never get him into the lineup consistently. They could never get him into a job
Yep.
and a consistent role. Even last year, the guy was playing forward at times.
Which is a whole other animal. But
Like it's a directionless organization that did not know what to do with him and did not value him for what he was. In Colorado, he's going to be valued for the things he does well.
Megan, do you have the same concerns about him being a little bit too samey maybe for the Avs decor?
Well, what I liked is I'm penciling this in for the bottom of the Avs D-core, and that's where that competition is really stacked right now. And what I find interesting about the way it's constructed right now is there's variety. Like both DeHaan and Brannstrom bring very different things. I think that they have options for what they're going to be looking for, and they're just going to see what works best. And so, you know, Erik Brannstrom's real competition is sort of himself, and demonstrating that that is the stylistic fit that they should target for the bottom of the D-core, because it hasn't been previously how it's been constructed. They've liked the stay-at-home defenseman type in a Jack Johnson alongside the extra guy who can move the puck a little bit. It's unclear how that's going to shake out at this point, but I think that, you know, at 24 years old, that gives you a little bit more youth and a little bit more jump at the bottom of the lineup than we've seen previously. He's mistake prone, but that's been true of any seventh man coming into the lineup in a Caleb Jones or a Sam Malinsky.
Guy.
Exactly. And the difference is, you know, when it comes to who Jared Bednar is going to feel most comfortable dressing, it's going to typically be the guy with a little more NHL experience. I don't like the way that bodes for a Sam Malinsky type.
Me
but
either.
if I can appreciate the competition among the forwards, I can appreciate it with Brannstrom, because it does give you then more speed and offensive upside that is going to play the way the rest of that blue line likes to operate than perhaps Calvin DeHaan could bring. And with the concern of injury and how much he can play, I think it is important to have some of these options.
With that conversation about competition, I agree with you. I think this number 6 spot is Brannstrom's to lose at this point. But you look 6, 7, 8, 9. You have Brannstrom, you have Malinsky, you have Kylie Rosen now, and then you have Jacob McDonald as well. It would not surprise me one bit if all of those dudes play games for the Avs this season.
Yeah, you feel a lot better about that depth than you did last year, getting into 8, 9, 10. We haven't even mentioned it. Sean Barons also exists.
Somewhere down there, just, yeah.
Not obviously planning on him being a top call
If he pops
right
off,
away.
dope, yeah.
That's where McDonald and Rosen really are great fits as guys who have played for the Avalanche, who have played in this style of system. There's not going to be an adjustment period.
Yep.
They're just going to drop in and know what they're doing and understand it. It is a concern for me that it's Brannstrom, Malinsky, Rosen, and McDonald. They're all softer players.
No one's gonna bang for you.
Not one
group,
of those.
Yeah.
Not one of those guys you're going to think of as gritty or physical in any sense. They're all good skating, puck moving archetypes of defensemen.
And if they go out and get one more D, you know what you're gonna see.
Yeah, but you also Sean Barons is the same way.
True.
They re-signed Wyatt Amott just before our show started to. Great.
He's a little bit more of a tank, but I'm not seeing the NHL upside. I just have to come to his defense.
That's the issue, though, is that if he's your guy to be, if you want a defensive guy, how far down the list do you have to go to get to one?
About 11. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you are a little deep into your org at that point, and one more guy would really help. But Brannstrom in a vacuum is a guy that.
He makes so much sense as an ad.
Could be one of the better value ads of the entire offseason.
Yep.
The same way that Jonathan Drouin was last year. This is a guy that is going to come into Colorado and will be a very good fit into how they play. If he takes to the coaching and he takes to growing in the way that the Avs are going to want him to grow on the defensive side of the puck, this could be a guy that we're not looking at as a one-year guy in Colorado. This is a guy that...
This is your Sam Girard replacement. If everything goes great, all of a sudden Sam Girard becomes way more expendable to the Avs lineup.
Right. If you feel really good about it, it goes really, really well, and you're trying to balance it. A deal for Brannstrom next year probably won't
be unheard of.
Yeah, it probably won't exceed $5 million.
I would be
which
shocked
would make
if it
the
did.
appeal of trading Girard for financial reasons a little more obvious. So this is a guy that could really help you. There is still that question of how hard are they to play against. He's not going to help you there.
True.
But in a physical sense, the guy always has the puck, though, which is one of the reasons why he's as turnover prone as he is. He makes a lot of mistakes, but he has the puck so much for a third pairing defenseman.
Yep. You won't run into any of the problems you did with like a Jack Johnson. Not that he's a direct replacement for Johnson.
Yeah.
He's more probably replacing the Sean Walker role on that bottom pair.
Yeah.
But
When Jack Johnson would make a mistake, he didn't have the foot speed to do anything about it.
Right.
It was mostly just take a penalty or pray.
why not both?
Yeah, Brannstrom should be able to help a little bit.
All right. Who has better traction control? Erik Brannstrom or a Toyota 4Runner? I don't know.
Toyota 4Runner.
Probably a vehicle with four wheels. I would go as good as a skater as Brannstrom is. The Toyota might be cheating a little bit. Make sure you're getting yourself over to your Front Range Toyota dealerships today to get yourself in a Toyota. Whether you're a truck person, you can go get the Tundra or the Tacoma. Already mentioned the 4Runner. They also have the RAV4. Tons of options. 17 different vehicles with all-wheel or four-wheel drive if you do want to go off-roading or drifting around on the lake ice when it does freeze over. Tons of other options, too. They have plenty of high-end models. I know someone was in our chat bumping up their high-end series of the Corolla with all of the souped-up stuff if you're a car person, which I'm not. I
all the
can't-
fixins?
Yeah, I can't tell you like the details of what the cool stuff does, but I've had multiple people reach out and tell me that their high-end engines and things like that are awesome and people really love them. So go check out your Front Range Toyota dealerships today. Make sure you visit them at any one of these locations, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Go get yourself the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and the official vehicle of DNVR. And once you're in a Toyota, make sure you're pulling up your gambling app and get with Bet365 to put some bets down today. Whatever it is you might be betting on. P.S. I'm going to let you in on the secret. Do you want a license to print money?
Yes.
Wait till the 7th inning. Bet the over on a Rockies game. It's literally free dollars.
It is not a bad strategy.
Doesn't matter who wins when you take the over. You just need runs to score. And with the Rockies bullpen and the Rockies bats, somebody's going to score some runs in the last 3 innings of a Rockies game.
It's nice to have a fun bad team.
They are fun, at least. It's
Not just a
true.
bad team.
Go get it with Bet365. Sign up today with code DNVR365. And you bet $5 or more on anything, you get $150 in bonus bets when you sign up with that DNVR365 code. You can get in on over 10,000 boosts every single month with Bet365. You can even get DNVR custom bets. So do it with that DNVR365 code over at Bet365. Of course, you must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. And before we move on to the Avs Dev Camp, I did want to pull up the Avalanche roster, current roster. Don't take this as the final product, but I wanted to put all the names in here. If the Avs don't do a single more move this offseason, which they're going to, but if they stood pat right now, this is more or less what the lineup would look like. You do have a full lineup. Obviously, Kovalenko on the second line isn't going to happen, but that's just filling in a name. You look at that defense, I think you feel pretty okay with at least your starting 6. Like you said, they might want to go out and get another guy that's a little bit more physical.
Yeah.
You look at that offense, though, and 1, you really need another middle 6 winger, and 2, you probably need a 4C.
The thing about the need for a middle 6 winger is you can't have a one-way player.
True.
You might be more comfortable going and getting a lower upside guy. This is honestly where Danton Heinen would have been perfect for it as a guy that I'd kind of like hoped. But a guy that can play a little bit in an offensive role and won't drag it a line down on his own. But one who, if certain things were to happen with Gabe Landeskog or Val Nichushkin or both, would not be totally lost playing in a fourth line
if
role
they get
along
dropped
the
down
way.
the lineup, for sure.
So you definitely are looking at you're looking at like a very specific need of, this is another reason why I would prefer Dominic Kubalik just as that guy, one who has been okay in a depth role. It's still kind of a waste of his skills, but he'll get you through the first month of the season. And if you never get
he can function in that role.
Yeah, if you never get Nichushkin and Landeskog back at any point, you're still okay as long as he can, as long as he plays well. But it gives you a chance to fill that role. And you would much prefer Kovalenko to be in one of the
bottom
Kivi
six,
Ronta or
yeah.
Kelly spots.
For sure.
Somewhere in that mix. But your bottom six is still mostly done here. You could really the only real spot that you have left is the fourth line center job. That you need an upgrade there.
Yep.
If it's Chris Wagner, you're probably going shopping for a fourth line center at the deadline again. That's what you're looking for. And then a middle six wing.
Megan, is there a world where the Avs can give some internal opportunity with that middle six wing spot, or do you think they need to really go out and get someone?
My gut tells me just what I've seen and how the Avs operate, they're going to go out and get someone.
Yeah,
I just
me
don't.
too.
If they had the confidence to try someone there, I think we would have seen more of it. And,
Fair.
and like to a Kovalenko's point, he didn't come over until the end of the year anyway, so we just haven't seen very much of him. But I just don't feel with the way that Jared Bednar likes to deploy his top six. They're trusted with pretty heavy minutes. If they're playing third or second line minutes, they have to be really trusted. And Jared Bednar, it takes some experience under their belt for him to feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair call. But it does go to show the Avs are pretty close to being done. I don't think they're done, but I wouldn't expect more than one or maybe two more moves for them this offseason.
It's also still July 2nd.
Yeah,
where it's
plenty
like,
of time to go. Yeah.
we have 2 more months of guys not signing contracts so that we could talk about PTOs. But
Yep.
yeah.
We also have 2 more months to start to hone in on, if not the Nichushkin situation, at least where is Gabe Landeskog at?
Yeah, Nichushkin's, I don't think there will be any conversation about whatever Nichushkin's status
There's
will
just-
be
it-
until like
on
the beginning of November.
November 10th, you'll figure
Like-
out. Yeah.
But with Landeskog, it's like, well, we'll see. When it comes to an injury, maybe he feels better come camp.
Yeah.
I am not planning on it. I am not expecting it. It just feels so unlikely to me.
Does it feel at all strange how aggressively they've targeted the bottom of the D-core, for example? Like, it almost feels as if there's a backlog of NHL players that could play there, and then we're looking at the bottom or at the middle of the Avs forward group, and there's so many question marks. Knowing some of those players are going to be in Loveland, it's not necessarily a concern. Like, I don't think they actually targeted it too aggressively, but how do you reconcile all of these NHL players that could be on the third pairing, and then we're looking at Kovalenko on a second line right now?
I think it's probably just value. It's easier to go and get wingers like that than it is defensemen. So get the guys that you want on your defense, get it going. You want that depth chart 10 deep on day one. You'd love that. I think they're there. They have it.
It does feel really complete.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I'd like one more defensive defenseman, but what does your roster actually end up looking like? We'll see. Because you're probably not going to ice a 23-man roster. Like they never do that, and their cap space is so tight that's a tough
They
proposition.
regularly run 21.
Exactly. So I think it's probably just we're comfortable with our defense looking like this for the most part. I'd like one more guy, but if they went into the season like this, I'm not going to throw a fit about it. But trying to find those wings, it's just an easier job to do. And it's usually where you get those PTOs, September contracts, that kind of stuff. And in there, what is it, like September 12th each of the last 2 years?
Someone gets signed.
They signed
yep.
Erod and Tomas Tatar. So, hey, if one of these guys is still unsigned by then.
Tatar didn't work out, but that was still, in my opinion, such a smart move to try.
From
Absolutely.
a value proposition, totally.
Yeah.
It didn't cost him anything, and they moved him for a 5th-round pick.
It felt like such a steal.
Yep. It was just good business. I've been saying that word a lot lately.
And who did they take with that 5th-round pick?
Pick a goalie or...
I do not know.
I don't
because
know
they
which
moved
one was
around
the
enough
fifth.
that I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't remember anymore.
Was it a goalie or was it Coran? I don't know.
I don't know. I was
Anyway, just to reinforce that conversation, let's be real. it's the Stanley Cup champion Avs and the modern NHL is predicated on you have to have one of the best defenses in the league if you want to go far in the playoffs. It makes all the sense in the world to me that the Avs targeted the defensemen more aggressively. Forward, they'll figure it out. You can't. It's a lot easier to, we'll figure it out with 12 spots in your lineup at forward as it is to, we'll figure it out with 6 spots on your defense.
And the way that they are right now, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Jean-Luc Foudy or Oscar Olsen takes that job out of camp
possible,
anyway.
Sure.
Just takes that job.
Yep.
Because if you're the Avalanche and you don't find a PTO or another middle six guy that you sign for real money in the next 2 months, you just go into camp. These are your guys.
Yep.
What does it hurt to put Oscar Olsen there? You've only ever played him and Jean-Luc Foudy.
Yep.
You've only really ever played them in depth roles.
It's true.
You put him next to Casey Middlestat, and in that alignment we had Mikko on that line. Pick any of
however you want to sort their
Rantanen,
top
Drouin,
six,
or Lehkonen, whatever it is. At least then you could say, okay, we're going to give you 16 games until Val gets back.
Give you a real shot.
Assuming that Landy is not healthy, then you're getting that's 16 more games of opportunity than they've had.
It's like what we talked about with Malinsky, how that didn't need to be a part of the lineup that was solved come day one of the regular season, but instead it's now giving a forward an option.
Yeah.
And Oscar Olsen and Foudy have been in the system for a long time developing. They could get the same sample Ranta treatment coming out of camp, get some opportunity and see what they do with it. Because to AJ's point about it probably being easier to find middle six wingers, I think that's an in-season thing that they can also target. Like,
for sure.
The clock doesn't end
It
as
ends
soon
on
as October
March 1st
rolls
or
around.
whenever trade deadline day is. Yeah, agreed.
Especially, this is a team that loves waivers.
They do.
Coming out of the preseason, you think that they're not looking around going, one too many guys in that forward core there, and they're going to just try and snag one? Like, there's so many ways to get that guy that could tie the whole thing together that right now I think they're just in a good position.
Between waivers, PTOs, potential signings this offseason, and internal options, on day one of training camp, there's going to be 8 guys, and it's like, whoever's the best of you gets the spot. Go. That's it. How long will they hold down that spot? Maybe not all that long.
It would be great for a guy like Olsen, too, because we talk about it's hard to dream on him in a bottom six in a checking role of any kind. But next to Casey Middlestat?
Seems like a pretty nice combo of setup man and finisher.
Yeah, and hell, if you want to get wild, you go Casey Middlestat and Jonathan Drouin and be like, all right, you two little maniacs here, feed pucks to this guy and let him do what he does, and you could find some gold there.
Yep. Could definitely work. You just sit Olsen down and you go, shoot.
Yeah. Win board battles, shoot pucks.
Yep.
Is it, speaking of Olsen, and we're going to get into dev camp here, but is it weird that he's at dev camp again?
He missed so much time last year.
Yeah.
You think it's just a rehab thing?
I do.
Okay.
Since we're talking about him, I noticed the one super chat we did get mentioned him. So $2 from Dean, who says, thoughts on Olsen? Should we trade him? I love y'all.
They tried over the weekend. I know that they had multiple conversations. I don't want to say tried. Like we were trying to get him, but
he happened to be in packages.
He was in trade conversations that they had over the weekend. Obviously, something didn't get done. I don't feel any kind of way about that. Teams talk about guys all the time, but I think the story with him is kind of the same as it has been since he was drafted. Can his all-around game get to where it needs to be? As a guy with good size, good skating, and good shooting, that's a really good base to build from. So far, it hasn't built enough up.
He did so well under Cronin, but injury has hampered seeing how much that stuck in his game. This last year would have been the year to really see that, and he just didn't get the chance to because of the injury.
And he really put together a pretty decent year last season beyond all the injury stuff. It wasn't like amazing, but he was producing at a solid rate. And a guy that has taken steps forward every single year post-draft. It's just a matter of can he get all the way there. But I don't know. Knowing the Avs, I struggle to see them giving that opportunity to a prospect, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'd love to dream on it, but I know come opening night, if these are the 12 forwards, you all Kivi Ranta is on the or Miles Wood is playing next to Casey Middlestat.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys know the difference between an AHLer and a fourth line NHLer?
No.
The real answer is who you know. My answer is a smooth sack. Go get yourself some Manscaped. Head on over to manscaped.com. Use code AVS to get 20% off and free shipping to get their new Ultra Performance Package 5.0, which includes a lawnmower 5.0, a nose hair trimmer. You can get tons of other products as well. From balls to beard, they have you fully covered, whether it be trimmers, deodorant, toner, tons of other products. They have soap, they have shampoo, they have what's conditioner? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't use conditioner, obviously. Tons of products with Manscaped to make sure you're grooming the right way. So head on over to manscaped.com. Be sure to use code AVS to get that 20% off and free shipping to get yourself looking nice and fly. And they say look good, feel good, play good. Look good helps, but you also got to make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. You can get over to BetterHelp, and the coolest part is it's super fast and easy. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And if you decide you don't like your therapist, you can switch at any time for no additional charge. You can usually get in extremely fast. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient. They have a super flexible schedule, which you can suit to your daily life however you feel. So go check them out. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. That's the number one thing. Therapy, it turns out, good for you. You gotta be able to talk about things sometimes. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/DNVR today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DNVR. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Anything else we wanted to touch on when it comes to free agency and the Avs lineup?
No, I mean, we have a long time to get into the... We'll talk about the same 8 guys for the next 2 months until they finally come off the board, and then it'll be training camp.
Well, we do have the Avalanche Dev Camp roster, which technically off-ice activities started today with things like physicals and things like that, which you can see up on screen right here. One of the more interesting dev camps they've had in a little while, a number of different prospects coming in. Do we want to do it by position, or is there certain guys you want to touch on?
Number one, I'm annoyed that William Zellers isn't healthy.
Yeah, that I was really frustrated when I saw that too.
It seems like every year there's somebody hurt at one of these that we really want to watch. And that was one of the guys that I was really looking forward to seeing.
Yep.
So that sucks. We can do the rest of this by position, though.
All right. Goalies are at the top, so we'll just start with them. The Avs bringing in 5 goalies. Their only drafted goalie being Luca Cloutier. I still can't say his name. But then they're also bringing in a handful of invites, including the guy that everyone is talking about in Matt Davis from DU. Also Nils Wahlstrom, Vinny Duplessis, and Jake Barkowski. I can't do the Polish names. I'm sorry. Let's be real. You're never going to see a ton out of a goalie in dev camp, but is there still some excitement out of these guys?
Yeah, it's great for them.
Sure.
You know, it's cool that Matt Davis got the invite and took it from the Avs, given the really great Frozen 4 performance that he had.
Yep.
The kid from Michigan, like, kind of dipped his toe in the water last year.
Yep.
Cloutier, they just used a draft pick on. Looking forward to seeing him. Excited that there's a Quinnipiac here. You know, that's fun.
Been wearing that hat for a week straight.
Yeah, well, it's the one in my passenger seat. That's how it goes.
Oh, there you go.
And The other kid, I have absolutely no idea where he came from.
American International.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
College, baby.
Yeah,
I'll feel silly, but I think that plays in the same division as the Air Force hockey program.
There you go.
Okay.
That math adds up.
All of them are pretty small too,
Yep.
except Wallstrom. He's 6'3".
They got used to saying it, and then they said, we got our big guy.
Yeah.
Now we need small goalies. I don't think there's really a ton to talk about with the goalies. Again, the high-end goalies in the
Matt
Avs.
Davis.
Well, yeah, sure. But
That is, I think it is important to acknowledge that he probably had a lot of other camp invites to
I'm
sift
sure.
through.
I'm sure.
2 shutouts in the playoffs and a 2-month-long injury that kept him out of the regular season. That was a really difficult period to adjust to, only to have the performance that he does.
Well,
So.
it is worth noting quite a few DU kids at this development
What?
camp. So
Yeah, 5 of them.
a whole gang of them that know each other can be a little bit more comfortable, maybe.
Really trying to build the PIO pipeline. Really trying
This
to
is
build
a
it.
beautiful marriage, and I think that it's a great thing.
Just keep building that hockey highway, all right?
Yeah.
From Loveland, and then now that Utah has a hockey team, they're going to steal the Grizzlies so we can put a team in Colorado Springs for the ECHL for the Avs. It'll be perfect. All
This
the
is
way up
perfect
and
for
down the
Megan.
highway.
This is all setting up wonderfully for
This
her.
is setting up wonderfully.
Moving on to the defense, really a lot of guys that are
That
already... Go
for the
ahead.
goaltenders, really, really fast.
Go ahead.
These things are not set up for them.
Not at
Those
all.
guys get lit
Not
up.
at
You
all,
see
yeah.
very, very little of substance from the goaltenders in particular.
Unless you are a goalie guy, which certainly AJ and I are not. There's a lot of technical work that you can probably dig into on these things with the goalies. They always come out, have some time that work with the goalie coaches and do their own thing.
Yeah.
If you're someone more intelligent about goalies than me, maybe you can glean something from that.
Yeah.
But certainly for my eye, yep, they're here.
Yeah, and they have their own goaltender specific session
Yep.
scheduled. Cool.
Neat.
We'll watch them. We'll pay attention. We'll see how it goes.
If you want returns on which ones have the coolest pads, we got you.
Yeah, probably. That'll be the extent of it. But, we'll if there's anything that stands out, we'll talk about
course,
it. But
of course.
just to get ahead of it, please do not have any expectations, good or bad, of any kind for a goaltender in this setting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
They spend a lot of time in drills giving up, facing 2-on-0s and 2-on-1s and stuff like that.
Spots where they're supposed to get scored on.
Exactly. So it just
Yeah.
be cool about it, little homies.
All right, moving on to the defense. The Avs have 4 prospects that are internal coming. That is Sean Barron's obviously leading the list. This year's 1 defensive prospect in Torrey Pittner. And then Chris Romaine and Sage Weinstein as well showing up. They also have a ton of camp invites, including friend of the show, Mick Frechette, Garrett Pike, Valtteri Puronen, Connor Meyer, Mitch Young, and Nolan Stevenson. And then all-name team, Boston Buckberger.
Yep.
I will say, of this list, I'm most excited to watch Torrey Pittner at this dev camp. Not that I'm not excited for someone like Sean Barons, but I'm already pretty familiar with his game, and I understand what I'm going to see more or less at this dev camp from him.
The Chris Romaine slander will not stand.
Okay, bro.
Yeah. No, obviously, it's exciting. He's your newest defensive prospect in a pipeline that only has a couple.
Pretty thin.
You have 11 guys invited to this, and 4 of them are draft picks.
Internal prospects, yeah.
So, and he's the new shiny, and he's also probably a guy that's not going to stand out much at this because hockey IQ doesn't jump off the ice at dev camp.
Physical ability. that
Exactly.
tends
The
to,
things
yeah.
that we see a lot in this are it's skating, it's shooting, it's stick work, things like that. It's hard for hockey IQ to be your best attribute and to really come through in this kind of a setting. But I am excited to see him. I want to see Sage Weinstein. They gave the guy an ELC after what we thought was like it was a fine
Okay dev camp and
yeah,
tournament.
it was
yeah.
fine rookie face-off last year, and then they gave him an ELC.
Yep.
We're still another year from now is when that ELC will actually start, barring him making the NHL team, which seems unlikely.
Yep.
The rest of these guys, you know, there are people connected to the leagues that they come from who have been excited about them. That's cool. Like it's better than not hearing about a guy, but you know, right now the list just kind of looks blah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think the college hockey representation in it is pretty fun. Obviously, Sean Behrens was named the best defensive player for DU this last year.
Yep.
A big step forward for a player billed for his offensive upside. So excited to see the growth in Behrens' game and how it separates from his peers in this environment. Similarly, though, with another DU kid, two other DU kids there, one who's played at DU is Boston Buckberger on that second pair with Zeev's brother Shai. So I'm excited to see some of the DU systems translate to this Avs dev camp. That's important for Tori Pittner in going into that too. To get some of those reps, I think they like to play similarly too. So I think it's going to be a complementary translation with the way that DU likes to play and what the Avs are looking for. So excited to see Tori Pittner too. And yeah, friend of the show, Mick Frechette. I think that he had a tough year with injury.
Yeah, for sure.
With BU, it's a hard decor to crack there too, with some of the headliners being who they are. So I'm excited to see him get the opportunity to separate from his peers in this environment as well.
Okay, but which defenseman is going to be best at the drill where they slide up and down the boards and punch the glass?
Sage Weinstein. I'm calling it right now. Boom, boom. The one where they look like little Rock'em Sock'em robots.
They took Jeremy Hansel from us, so Sage Weinstein will have to do.
He's got to fill that role.
It still hurts.
It doesn't feel good.
Moving on to the forward core. This one a little bit all over the place. There's a ton of guys, obviously, as you will have with forwards. But for internal Avs prospects, you have Taylor McCarr, who's moving to University of Maine this season. Oscar Olausen is back, as we mentioned earlier. You also have Callum Ritchie, which is probably the guy everyone is really excited to see at this event. And then, interestingly, Colby Ambrosio also coming back for another camp.
I also found this interesting.
Yeah. And then you have a ton of non-internal guys, including Riley Connors. Oh, sorry, I missed Jake Fisher. My bad. Jake Fisher drafted this year, too.
Jake Fisher, Max Curran,
Did I miss Curran, too?
Christian Humphreys.
Man, okay, I just missed everybody. All of this year's drafts forwards showing up.
And Nikita Prishapov.
Yeah, all of them showing up. So.
That's rare.
To get all of them to come?
Yeah.
Usually at least one or two don't show up.
Stupid Will Zeller's getting hurt.
Yeah, it's really sad that we don't get to see him.
We're off to a bad start here, Will.
Are we? That happened to Cal Ritchie, and things turned out pretty well. So
we were off to a bad start there, too.
You're not wrong.
It went much better.
Invites include Riley Connors, a name you've certainly heard in Marek Hayduk, Cooper Gay, who I think might also be injured.
Yep.
Chad Hildebrand, Brett Link, Rylan Kovacevic, Briley Wood, and who am I missing? Nope, that's all of them. We're good. Do we just want to talk about Cal Ritchie, or is there anything else you want to mention first?
I mean, it's cool that we have a Hayduk.
It's neat, yeah.
Like, I think that's cool. That's it.
All right.
Riley Connors is basically Logan O'Connor. Captain, third line. The production doesn't jump off the page at you, but he's a PK guy, strong defensive forward who really rounded out his 200-foot game at Yale.
And where's he from? Connecticut.
Okay, bro.
Look, if she gets to be excited about the Thunderbirds, I get to be excited about people being from Connecticut.
The weirdest thing ever.
Either way, look, Dev Camp is a place where high skill forwards should be the ones that stand out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cal Ritchie leads that class, but I think it will be interesting to see which of the Avs guys, obviously with more of a focus on their draft and internal guys, have that skill that's able to pop for you. Is anyone going to earn a contract here? Maybe not, but
Certainly not a dev camp.
sure. it would be through the rookie tournament and all of that.
Except for that time Logan O'Connor
Except
did
for
it.
that time Logan
Wow.
O'Connor did it.
I feel like there was probably already a
That-
plan in
I was
place
gonna
for that
say
one.
that was
Yeah.
always very like we just got to make sure that this is what we think it is, and then
Yeah.
we've got this ELC ready to rock.
Yeah.
I was told it was different. Like he was built differently, and they thought he was a different player. And then he showed so well at Dev Camp. They're like, "This is who he is." And then they didn't realize, like, oh, he was kind of this third, fourth line grinder type at DU.
Interesting.
That was a bad call by me. I did not like that signing.
Well, maybe Bradley Chase can be the new one of him.
Chase Bradley.
Did I? Okay, sure. Who
Way
also
too many guys right now in this organization.
many first names.
Who have two first names because you add Parker Kelly, you have Ross Colton.
Yeah.
No. Now we've got Bradley Chase.
Also,
Chase Bradley.
Also,
Which one?
A little weird that he's not here,
Yeah.
given that he
I
did sign.
Agree. This was when we were just talking about we need to see him.
Yeah.
22 years old, could have spent another year in college with increased opportunity and opted not to.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Makes you wonder what kind of like royal road that guy was promised
Right, who
to
do
sign
you know?
here.
I don't doubt that you're talented, but who do you know?
Anyway,
Yeah, what kind of blackmail is in play here? Where he's just gonna get a spot on the roster coming out of camp, and we're gonna be like, okay, well, all right.
okay. Let's face it. Tomorrow, when all of the crazies show up like us at the first day of Dev Camp, we're all here to watch Cal Ritchie, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
You gotta want it to show up at Dev Camp.
Yeah. Sure, plenty will show up on Friday for the game, but on a Wednesday morning, you got to really be a diehard Avs fan to be showing up to that Dev Camp day. We'll put it to you that way. Richie is in a unique situation.
For the record,
Is Chase Bradley?
he was added to it, so they
did
sent
he?
us.
Oh, there you go.
They
Perfect,
sent
yeah.
us a roster yesterday. That's the one that's been on screen. He got added to the one that just got sent out as our show was starting.
Of course.
Chase Bradley, I'd like to apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Our bad fella.
Chase.
He's in Group 1, so we'll see him second.
Okay.
For some
Group-
reason, Group 2 is starting. I don't know why.
All right. Group 1's got
Group 1 is loaded.
Sean, Tori, Cal.
Yeah,
all
it's
right. All right.
Gonna be a lot of dudes to
This
watch
is
in
fun.
Group 1.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is fun.
Rudo's desperately trying to get us to talk about Cal Ritchie. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, you're fine. It's all good. The thing with Cal Ritchie that I wanted to talk about, though, is look, yes, he just had a great season. Everyone's high on him. This will be the first time that people in Colorado get to see him in person.
Yeah.
You really get to see what that skating and offensive ability looks like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how much physicality will there be? Probably not a lot. How much defensive play will there be? Probably not a lot. But you at least start to get a read on his game in person.
Yep.
I want to.
This camp is not for him.
That definitely.
He's going to get an ELC. He's going to get a long look in preseason and training camp and all that. We're just excited that we get to see him because he's their top prospect coming off a great year.
And I want to ask this delicately. Realistically, how much can you take from this dev camp for the Avs higher end prospects? Is it anything?
Well, it's tough because of what Cal Ritchie's game includes that we're curious about for the next level,
For
and
sure.
that is how does he stack up against greater physicality? And we're not going to see that in this environment. So you want to see then the scoring punch
For
pop
sure.
off. But other than that, the part of his game that has the biggest question mark where we're being told he needs to get man strong, we're
Yep.
not going to see how that looks right now.
Unless they want to make him the glass that everybody has to punch in that grill.
And he's allowed to punch back.
Exactly.
What's the fastest way we can get back to that shoulder injury for
No.
Cal Ritchie? That's what that might be.
Well, luckily, all the defensemen they brought are tiny, so they can't reach up to the top of
Hey,
him.
take it easy.
A lot of gut
I think the
punches.
CC kid's pretty big, actually.
There is one big kid.
There's always one.
I don't know how big he is. Let's see.
Anyway, Cal Ritchie, yes, it will be exciting to see him.
And
5'11".
you know, you really hone in on those Avs prospects. I don't know how much you guys have looked at the other ones, but is there anyone else you're keeping your eye on?
Yeah. It was so not is like a NHL guy or anything, but they brought in Chad Hillebrand at the end of the Eagles season last year and gave him a couple of games.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him. He's totally foreign to me. That's just a curiosity one.
Sure.
And I talked about this. Yeah, it was yesterday. Jesus, this has been the longest couple of days ever. Yesterday, I don't know anything about Nikita Prishapov.
I don't either.
I don't know anything about him. I saw some of the Sport Logic tracking data for his season in the queue, and it was outstanding. Like, outstanding. So that makes me curious. I want to see what the skills are. I want to see what the tools look like, though, because this is the only thing that you can really draw from that.
True.
They're not going to be in very many hockey situations. So is he a good skater? Is he, does he use the size to any kind of way? Is he whatever? I want to see those types of things. Because I just don't. He's a total blank for me. The rest of these guys, at least the rest of their draft picks, I have a comfort level with.
Yep.
Outside of the goalies, because they're goalies. But I want to see what's up, and obviously Chase Bradley.
Hildebrand was interesting just because he came over at the end of last year, an alternate captain from Western Michigan, so not quite full captain, but played previously with Jason Pullen on that team. That team's identity was a heavy physical presence, so that's sort of what I'm expecting from him. And he was at Calgary's Dev Camp last year and earned a fitness award, so he's already one of those guys that'll probably fit in culturally in Colorado.
One of those guys.
So I'm excited to see him too. Briley Wood was someone that was at Dev Camp but injured for the rookie tournament, and I really wanted to see him in the rookie tournament. So I'll see him back at Dev Camp, but I really want him to be healthy enough to play in the rookie tournament. That's really where I wanted to see him last year.
It is interesting, though, to bring a guy back for a second year. It's pretty rare for these types of things.
Yeah.
Normally, if a guy's good enough for a camp, he'll go to a different one.
Right.
So for him to be in the same camp means that the Avs really do like what he is.
We want to look at this. Yeah. A real look.
Last question. Any pukers this year?
Have we? It was just the once, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I imagine Kaut probably got pretty close, but he didn't actually
Yeah,
puke.
he was the other one that was struggling.
Yeah.
God, what was that kid's name?
I can't remember his name either. Goalie.
Yeah, he was a mid-round goaltender that they had. Anyway, I'll look it up in a sec, but the only puker that we've had at one of these. They don't push him like that anymore.
They don't go quite that hard. Yeah.
They were really, really, really hard on him that year.
Yep.
It was Kent.
Sounds right.
Something.
Oh, well.
Damn it. This is really bothering me. Yeah. It was... conditioning is always interesting at this. I am glad that they have made the dev camp a lot more interesting for us to cover and to watch, and that they've given us a 4v4 scrimmage at the end of it. That's fun. That's a lot more interesting. I'm glad that it's not too full.
Sure.
Because I saw Detroit had 50 guys at this thing.
You can't watch all those
I don't
guys.
like
What are you
that.
doing? You need 2 full locker rooms?
You're just cluttering, and you're not going to be able to see anyone as much as you want to at a thing like this.
And like, what do you have, like 8 goalies in that list? Like, that's crazy. That feels like too much. We have seen, like, when they first started doing this, some of them were like 9 guys.
Those too small also.
Exactly,
yeah.
too small. So this is, I like that it feels like there's 2 tiny rosters worth of players here.
Yep.
And we're going to get a good look at a lot of them over the next 3 days, and then it caps off with a scrimmage.
I am, to add to who I'm excited to see Taylor McCarr, because from Dev Camp 1 into 2, there was this huge difference in him. And then obviously entering the transfer portal in this last year points to the season not going to plan as expected.
Yep.
I'm curious to see what version of Taylor McCarr we get going into Dev Camp 3.
Definitely a fair call out to see how that has progressed. We do have one more super chat here from Melanie, who for $5 says, thanks for all the draft and FA coverage. Love the DNVR Avs crew. Thank you very much, Melanie. Always hanging out here with us. We appreciate you a ton. Obviously, over the next couple of days, we'll be full coverage of Dev Camp and doing podcasts on all of that. But with about 5 minutes left on today's show, I'm going to leave it to you, AJ.
Yeah, so kind of talked about this. We've alluded to it a couple of times. A big change, a big announcement that we have coming to the pod and the beat over the next year. At the end of this month, because it is July now, right? Yeah, at the end of this month, I am moving to Connecticut. I swear all of the weird Connecticut stuff was not totally out of left field. I am moving to Connecticut. I will not be a part of the daily podcast at the start of next week. I will be transitioning into a little bit of a different, more writing-focused role at DNVR. Still going to be a part of the Avs beat, still going to be writing, still doing studs and duds. I'll still be hopping on to podcasts every once in a while. Something happens, they lose 8-2 to St. Louis and I need to shout about it or something. Stuff like that could still be coming up. But this is the next 3 days will be my last couple of days as part of the daily podcast. After 7 years doing this, it was time for something a little bit different for me. I needed a change, and luckily everybody around here has been receptive to the idea that I still be a part of stuff, but not be in Denver anymore doing it. Also important that I note I will be here for every playoff run. So during the playoffs, I will be part of that daily pod. And during the preseason training camp leading up to the start of the regular season, I will also be here every day. So there will be some times which I am in town. Obviously, I still have so many great friends here that I will be back for social reasons. And I'm sure I will drop in on everybody and come down to the office, say hi on a pod, something like that. But yeah, this is my final week as a member of the day-to-day podcast crew. So it's I'm glad that we've had about 2 months before from when it was decided to
prepare for this
to today, so that I don't that it's not quite as difficult as it has been in the past when I get thinking about not being on the pod anymore. But yeah, really, it's really just. I do want to say that, thank you to everybody. There's been so much love over the years for everything that we've done to all the different people who have had to put up with me every day. But this has been such a huge part of my life for so long, and it's a grind that, trying to balance, trying to podcast and trying to be at the rink every day and trying to write stuff every day. It was, I've been taking things off my plate one by one over the last couple of years as I switch into some different stuff. So it's a good time for that change. And, it's all love from me to everybody. And yeah, there will be, my participation in social media stuff will be much smaller moving forward. But I'll still be around enough that you guys won't forget that I exist. But it won't be 5 days a week anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to miss you, man. Obviously, you'll still be around behind the scenes, but on the pod, we're going to miss you.
Truly is the hardest part of this, is not getting to spend every day with you guys.
Yep.
It's going to be hard to find the identity of the pod without you on it.
Yep. He's the guy that built this whole thing, so we're just running with the ball now, basically.
Well, and I think that the pod will find a new identity and kind of move away from me, and I think that will make the pod better than ever. And that was part of the decision making for this. Was I think that it'll take time, but I think things will get so good with me in a role that I was probably more naturally suited for. This was not supposed to be what I did. It just became a necessity of the gig along the way. So, I'm not disappearing.
P.S. Go look at our website and you'll see a ton of stuff AJ has written over the last week.
You'll see an awful lot of those things have started already. The draft guide, stuff like that. If you're not one of our diehards, you're going to want to be, because a lot of our new written content is going to be geared towards the diehards in particular. So go do that.
Yep.
Justify this change for me.
A couple of shout outs for AJ in the super chats here. $5 from Tua Tuesday saying, congratulations, AJ. Can't wait to see you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And $5 from Robert, who says, appreciate everything you've done for us over the years, AJ. Good luck in Connecticut, my dude.
Thank you. I really, really do appreciate it. This was obviously a really taxing time in my life. Z and I are going through our divorce right now, and that was also part of the this whole process. And the pod has become what was a place of salvation for me every day. And, now it's time for me to learn to be a big kid without having that crutch. So I will, I'll still be around, and I appreciate the thousands of hours that people have listened to me talk Avalanche hockey over the last decade or so. So. Yeah.
All right. I'm good if you're good.
I'm good.
Okay, we do have to get out of here for the day. We will be back tomorrow talking whatever happens at Dev Camp, and maybe they have signed a couple more guys. I don't know. We'll see. But join us for that. Join us for the rest of the week as we talk Dev Camp, and we have AJ for the last couple of days at least.
Yeah.
So it should be fun. We appreciate y'all, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.